Hi guys and welcome to day 2 of Unsolved Mystery Month. If you didn't see my last video, there will be a link in the description to it, please give it a watch, it means a lot. Right, on to today's case. This is the unsolved murder of JonBenet Ramsey. JonBenet was a 6-year-old girl who was murdered in 1996, just after that Christmas. The date is still unknown, but it is either the 25th or the 26th of December. This case still hasn't been solved, when it happened 23 years ago. The family includes her mother, Patsy, her brother Burke, who was 9 at the time of her death, and her father, JonBenet, which is presumably where she got her name from. The actual cause of death from the autopsy was asphyxiation by strangulation. The autopsy said that she was initially hit by a blunt object in the head and then strangled. Starting off on Christmas Day, 1996. The Ramsey family went out for a Christmas dinner and party at their friend's house, arriving home at around 10 p.m. As it was late, JonBenet fell asleep in the car, and so her parents picked her up and carried her to bed. This is the last thing that we know about JonBenet's life. Between Christmas night and Boxing Day morning, there is nothing. At precisely 5:52 a.m. there was a 911 call from her mum, Patsy Ramsey.
911 emergency.
Police.
What's going on?
15th Street.
What's going on there, ma'am?
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on, okay?
There's a note left and our daughter's gone.
A note was left and your daughter is gone? How old is your daughter?
6 years old. She's gone. 6 years old.
How long ago was this?
I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter's
Does it say who took her?
What?
Does it say who took her?
I don't know. There's a ransom note here.
It's a ransom note?
It says SBTC. Victory. Please.
Okay, what's your name? Are you
Patsy Ramsey. I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been gone?
No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Is she right here? Oh my God, please.
Okay, well,
There's somebody.
I am, honey.
Please.
Take a deep breath,
Please,
okay?
hurry.
Patsy.
Patsy was understandably hysterical, thinking that her daughter had been kidnapped. However, according to Kimberly, the 911 operator, there was reportedly a significant change in Patsy's voice for the last 6 seconds of the call. This recording is said to be inaudible, however experts interpret it to say, "Right, we've called the police, what do we do now?" The experts also said that they thought there was 3 voices on the call. This makes sense, as it would be JonBenet's the mum, dad and brother. This, however, is a big piece of evidence against Burke, the brother, and the family in general, as they told the police that Burke was asleep this whole time. The experts also said that it sounded like Burke said, "What did you find?" Does this mean that it was all part of a cover-up call? We don't know, we'll get onto the theories later on, just keep that in mind. On the call, Patsy said that she found a ransom note, which is why she thought that she had been kidnapped. 7 minutes later, the police arrived at the Ramsey house. The Ramseys also invited friends and family round, which is weird and also meant that a lot of the evidence was contaminated because so many people entered the crime scene. The police should have put a stop to so many people coming round, and maybe someone would have been caught. This ransom note was really weird and was over 2 pages long. It doesn't make sense, and a lot of people think that Patsy wrote it. The ransom note was tested and took 20 minutes to write when copying. If this was wrote initially by a random person, they wouldn't have known what they were writing, making it even longer. The evidence was also tested, and apparently, they had a practice at writing the note first, then wrote the official ransom note after that in Patsy's notebook, with her pen, and then put the notebook back where it was kept. This doesn't add up and makes us suspect that it was Patsy. Because a murderer or burglar doesn't spend what's probably over an hour writing a note and putting a book back in its place. In the ransom note, it asked for $18,000. This is a very specific amount of money, and the weird, or suspicious, thing about it is that it is scarily close to the bonus that JonBenet got from work. This raises suspicion that it was someone in the family or close to the family that knew their financial position. Handwriting forensics said that the writer tried to make themselves sound foreign as they have spelt complicated words correctly but purposely spelt simple words wrong. It is also said that they were trying to change their handwriting a lot at the start of the letter. Finally, a professional also interpreted that the letter was wrote by a woman as there is a lot of maternal references in the letter. This all adds to the theory of it being written by Patsy. The police therefore had both John and Patsy give samples of their writing in order for them to compare it to the note. John was completely ruled out, but there was traces between Patsy's writing and the note. That's everything that I'm going to tell you about the ransom note, but if you have any more theories or know of any further evidence from the ransom note, comment it below and we can discuss it. Moving on, the police told John and his friend to have one last look around the house, and this is where JonBenet's body was found, in the basement. She had a garrote tied around her neck, duct tape on her mouth, and her hands were tied together behind her back. She actually had a jumper on, and so JonBenet could have actually escaped the tying up if she was alive at the time, because the tape must have been stuck to the jumper, not her skin. This is why some people think that it was all part of a cover-up, but this isn't known. John wrapped JonBenet in a blanket, picked her up and moved her to the living room floor, which is a big cross-contamination of evidence because so many people were there walking through the living room, and she was moved from the original crime scene. When they examined her body, there was so many different pieces of DNA all over her that it was almost impossible to determine the murderer. However, they found traces of 2 males and 1 female under her fingernails, but the evidence was too small to make a case from this. They also found fiber from Patsy's jumper on the duct tape. Overall, there was too much DNA evidence to make solid cases from it. After they found the body, the Ramseys quickly stopped cooperating with the police and refused to do any interviews. They did, however, do a TV interview but didn't tell the police or their lawyers about this. Finally, it is believed that JonBenet was sexually abused in her life, and perhaps on the night of her murder, as there was DNA evidence in her underwear. This has not been confirmed, as there are cases for and against this. I've explained some of the theories during the evidence. However, one main suspect was a man called Mike Helgock. They thought that he was guilty because there is video recording of him admitting to the murder of JonBenet to his work colleagues. He actually committed suicide 2 months after the murder of JonBenet. This to me sounds like a guilty consequence. However, some people think that he was killed by his accomplice in the murder because they didn't want Mike to speak. Another guy called John Marcar, who admitted to the murder. However, there is photographic evidence of him in Georgia at the time of the murder, so he was ruled out and no one knows why he confessed. The final theory that I'm going to mention is the burglar theory, where someone outside of the family broke into the house and killed JonBenet. The theory behind this is that JonBenet was a pageant girl and she wore a lot of makeup and had her hair done. She might have been a victim of pedophilia and they eventually broke into the house and killed her. This also ties into the theory of possible sexual assault on the night of the murder, but this hasn't been proved. There was a hole in the basement window which the family was actually aware of but didn't get fixed. It is said that someone could have broken in through there, however there was a cobweb in the corner of the window that was untouched, and so this was ruled out, as there is no way someone could break in through the window and not break the cobweb. There were also no other signs of forced entry. Right guys, that's it for this unsolved mystery. Tune in tomorrow for episode 3 of Mystery Month, as it's now called, and please like, comment and subscribe for more. See you tomorrow.